How did you get involved in ritual magic? Because that really is on the far edge in this culture. Medieval grimoire, Golden Dawn.
Ritual magic, there's nothing unique about it. Ritual magic was our basic form of activity when we were hanging around the caves and running around the jungles, picking up berries and fruits and chasing little animals and hunting and farming. We did ritual magic all the time. That was our way of life.
In order to attract
forces and things that we wanted. Yeah. And also, it serves a psychological purpose. It's not either or, of reducing anxiety. Human beings need to feel that they're doing something to affect their environment and their situation and their condition. So ritual magic is much more natural, quote unquote, than religion is. Religion is rather a very peculiar thing, and it's sort of a mass form of leadership and control. It's perfect.
It's political.
Its only purpose is political, but it does serve the purpose of reducing anxiety, letting you sleep better at night, praying, for an example. Why does a person pray? They want something, whether it's for themselves or somebody else. They're scared. So I reduce it, if you would, to a psychopolitical, physiological device. Magic is much more realistic for human beings because they're doing something. They're not just asking, begging, pleading, eating some wafers and drinking some wine, all in a passive position. You see, religion is primarily passive. Magic is primarily active, just like science.
Judeo-Christian religion is primarily passive.
That's who we're talking about. If you want to make a point about other cultures, then we can talk about those also. Those are much more magical and active. Magic is closer to science than is religion. And religion fundamentally hates both magic and science. And rightfully so.
You once said to me that magical thinking, the magical form of thinking, as opposed to linear, logical thinking, was the true natural form of operation of the human brain.
That's how it started. First of all, there's not just two forms. There's not just magical thinking and there's not just linear, logical thinking, because we know so-called New Agers put a negative valence on logical, linear thinking and a positive valence on what they call natural thinking. However, they're not thinking at all when they discuss this. It has taken a great effort for us to be able to be logical, multi-logical, or scientific thinkers because it requires patience. We don't have immediate answers. In a survival situation, we need immediate reactions, which are different than answers. So magical thinking, if you would, is more primitive and more survival-oriented than is so-called logical thinking or scientific thinking. But that requires effort, reflection, trial and error, testing, retesting, so on and so forth.
Many people claim, think, believe in the theory of evolution. There are others, even in the modern-day world, who find the theory of evolution preposterous. This is what Dr. Hyatt has to say about the theory of evolution. Or perhaps the opposite.
In my opinion, there's more de-evolution than there is evolution. You take the finest discovery, you give a piece of gold to an ape, and what will the ape do with it? The point is very simple. One of the greatest dangers of ceremonial magic or real magical work being released to the masses is that, like everything else, the masses do with it what only they're capable of doing with it, which is reducing it to what I call trailer magic and trailer ritual. And that's what you have. I've seen just about everything in this arena. You have a bunch of monkeys running around a fire, yelping, screaming, jumping up and down. They've made little tools in their bedroom late at night, and they're having a good time, and that's great, that's cool. But that to me is de-evolution. Now, in terms of ecology and evolution, that's a totally different issue. If we look at the theory of evolution and says, okay, the survival of the fittest, that's ridiculous. It's the survival of the most. Whatever more survives is what survives, which is a tautology. It's really the survival of the unfittest. The fragile person who make up a large part of the marginal group of the world are most likely to be destroyed by the masses than be helped by the masses. Now, another point I make also, I'm worried about eco-politics for the simple reason the only way we get real change is through real disaster. I mean, the ice age, the meteors hitting the planet,
Sinking of Atlantis, the burning of Atlanta.
The burning of Atlanta, Georgia. Disaster is what brings the best of us out. What World War II did for us is simply unbelievable. And I can hear all the crying in the background, the babies killed.
But it took us to the moon.
It took us to the moon, and it will take us way beyond the moon. Out of war, out of disaster, brings the cream to the top. Not sitting around, reproducing, buying another television, painting your walls green, or hanging wallpaper, or going out and getting drunk at some silly singles bar. And everyone calls that wonderful romance, love. To me, it's garbage. All human beings do as a group is they dress up. They glamorize and dress up the ordinary. It works for the reproduction bias. You glamorize, you put glitz, you take sex and make it a gigantic romantic thing where you have to get a priest to bless you so you can legitimately look at their dirty parts. Now, come on. Don't you think that is a bit insane? It is only the rare person who can take the dross and make something more out of it. It's like having 5 children, and no matter what you say, they really turn out to be just nothing. So what? Big deal. What have you accomplished? Versus working your brains out, changing yourself, raising one child, helping that child to develop its natural qualities, and giving it more, teaching it more, providing discipline, and creating a work of art. A child should be a work of art, not simply some biological necessity that any moron can make happen. You know, I'm so overwhelmed and perplexed when someone says, "Oh, the miracle of birth." I respond, yes, the 6 billion miracles facing us now.